Hello, it's Karen Burniston here with an assembly video for one of our die sets. This is die number 1292, the photo fan pop-up, and you can check out all of our designs at karenburniston.com. The photo fan is going to be one of those great year-round generic mechanisms that you can use all sorts of different ways, including with photos. There are 19 pieces in this die set, so lots of extra goodies to go with that cool pop-up. What I've been doing lately with assembly videos is actually showing how I made the card that was on the packaging. So this is the card that's on the packaging for the photo fan pop-up. I used photographs of my twins' 8th birthday. They are 26 now, so this has been a few years ago. I am going to switch it up a little bit because the card on the packaging is a square card and I wanted to do a standard A2. So I started with a piece of cardstock, 8.5 inches wide by 5.5 inches tall, scored it in the middle for folding. For paper, I just went stash diving. I found a piece of a pretty yellow pattern that kind of had some watercolor look to it. I cut 4 panels of that paper, 4 inches wide by 5.25 tall, and then added them to the inside and the outside of the card. Now, one thing about the photo fan is when it collapses down, there are a lot of layers on top of each other. So because of that, if you'd like to keep the bulk of the card down, I definitely recommend that you use a lightweight material for your photo fan and layers. So this is like a 65-pound cardstock. You could probably even just use a pattern paper if you wanted to. Maybe not the lightest pattern paper, but maybe a double-sided one would be perfect for the photo fan. You can use any die cutting machine that can accommodate a wafer-thin die. I am using my Spellbinders Platinum 6. The die is going to do all of the cutting and scoring of the piece, and then you just have to work the folds. So the first thing I like to do is turn it to the side and then work the center fold as a mountain fold, which means that I'm folding away from myself. Okay, then what I like to do is do the little wings that fold to the back. So sometimes with folds, it's easier to fold towards yourself first to break the fold, but then just go ahead and immediately reverse it. So now I have those tabs on the back. That's what's going to glue to the card. Okay, then I have basically a fan, so I have a couple more score lines, and we're going to alternate. So I've got a mountain in the middle, so the next one needs to be a valley. So mountain and then valley. Doing the same thing on the other side, so mirror image piece here. Then I've got one more diagonal fold. That one will be a mountain. So it goes mountain, valley, mountain as you go out across the fan. Okay, easy enough. And then there are some score lines next to the small tabs out on the end. Those also fold to the back, so mountain fold. I mean, that is it, y'all. Easy. Single piece construction, work all the folds. This is ready to install inside the card. I'm going to measure 2.25 inches from the top of the card. Now that's just a recommendation. You can certainly install the photo fan anywhere along the fold, but that seems to be a good location to make sure that there's enough room for all of those photos that get added later to be hidden when the card is closed. Okay, those 2 tabs that are folded under, well actually really 4 tabs because it's the outside ones as well, but I'm going to start with the 2 in the center. And those are going to get adhesive, and I am using my LINECO neutral pH adhesive in my fine tip bottle. We sell both of those items on our website. And then what I want is I want the point of the photo fan to be on my pencil line, and I'm just temporarily reversing the fold up the middle from a mountain to a valley so that I can really see that it's directly lined up over the fold of the card. So it's not crooked, it's pencil line and then straight up lined up with the fold of the card. But what's glued down is just those 2 tabs underneath there. So let me put that mountain fold back in it and lift that up, and you can see that those 2 tabs are now straddling the fold underneath there. Okay, and then now I'm just going to attach the other 2 tabs. So I can do that by just folding on that valley fold just to get access to the tab. Seems to be an easy way to do it. Add some glue to that. Okay, and then again in the completely flat position. So we want everything really, really flat here for installation. Okay, so just flatten out those folds and everything so that you get a nice flat mechanism when it is installed. Same thing with the other side. Some adhesive underneath that tab, keeping everything nice and flat. Just give it a press. That is it. That's the installation. That is how easy it is. Okay. So now before I start closing the card, I want to make sure that it's coming up. So I need to grab kind of the outer edges, make sure those are coming forward, the center's coming forward, and then I start slowly closing the card, and then it will just collapse down. And you can see that's actually pretty flat. I mean, I don't have layers on it yet, but it's pretty flat because I used that lightweight cardstock. On my inspiration card, I used lots of different colors to decorate the photo fan, but I decided on this one I would just use 2 colors, and that'll make it a little quicker on the die cutting too, because I don't have to run back through with any other colors. I can just get that all at one time. With the spoke decoration, the die will cut 3 at a time. You need 6, so I'm going to cut through 2 layers so that I get 6. You do not have to decorate the photo fan, but especially if you've used a lightweight cardstock, depending on what you're planning on holding up with those spokes, you may want to add the decorator pieces just for strength. So it'll add decoration, but it will also add strength. And my suggestion is to always put the spoke decoration on first, and that way the triangles will cover up the ends of the spokes, but that will also really help the strength of the piece so that it can hold up a lot of items. So that's really just about having it be able to hold up all of those photos. And I realized I wanted 4 green and 2 blue on the spokes so that they would match the triangle, so I just ran back through to get another set of green spokes. And I'm choosing to put the glue on the yellow and then add the decorator piece to it, but I could have just as easily put the glue on the back of the decorator pieces and glued them to it. But the important thing is that there is a little shadow left around each piece. Okay, and then now I can add the decorator triangles, and they're really easy just to line up with the pieces, you know, the spots that they fit. They all sort of have a pretty unique shape, so it's pretty hard to get those wrong. But just following the shapes, you'll also have a little bit of a shadow around them of the original fan color, and then just avoid the folds. And as you flatten it to decorate it, you may then again need to teach it again that it needs to come forward. So you may just have to pull on those outside spokes and bring it forward. The die set includes 3 identical large squares and then 3 identical small squares. And that makes pretty quick work of die cutting all of the squares that you need for a collage, because you can even cut through 2 layers. Those are nice big open dies. If you are in the United States, you can print collage prints at Walgreens, and it's easy to do. I've got a video that shows you how, and that same size that's used on the photo collage pop-up is perfect for the photo fan. So I use the Walgreens photo editor to print some collage prints, and then I can either use the small die to cut those out, or since they're perfect squares, I could just cut them out with my trimmer. That might even be faster. Our new Photo Memories clear stamp set is really perfect to use with the photo fan. Lots of great phrases that go well with photos. And for this one, being a birthday card, I'm going to use Happy Birthday to You and celebrate your big, awesome, super day. These are high quality photopolymer stamps. You can use them with an acrylic block, or you could use a stamp positioner. I'm just going to use an acrylic block because they are so small that I can just stamp them, and if I don't get a perfect stamp, I'll just do it again next to it. You know, it doesn't waste much cardstock when they're that small. I got a good stamp on the Happy Birthday to You, but my B is just a little bit lighter than I want it to be, so I'm just going to stamp that one again. And like I said, I'm willing to do it without my stamp positioner because it's just a scrap of white cardstock and it uses very little cardstock to be able to stamp these small little stamps, so I can just do it quickly with an acrylic block. And then the smaller squares are perfect to cut out those greetings, and then I'll also just go ahead and get some plain white ones that I'll need for my card as well. Okay, time to start decorating. So I have all these big squares that I cut out of these bright, fun colors, and I've just kind of laid out which ones I want on which spokes so that I can, you know, alternate the colors. And I'm going to start out here with the outer spoke, and I want to put my adhesive on the spoke itself. And then this one's got to flip over. So when I put it, I want to skew it a little bit more to the upper side of the spoke. In other words, it's not going to be centered on that one because I want it to easily flip over into that closed position. And I just have to watch the location to make sure it stays in the card. I'm doing an A2 size card here, so I'm going to be out close to the edges in that flat position. If you increase your card size, then maybe you have a little bit more leeway, you know, to have them be, you know, further out or whatever. But in this case, I'm just going to take my left side one and use it as a guide for where the right side one should be, and then just quickly check it and make sure that it stays in the card. I'm going to skip the next set of spokes and go to the center two instead, and I'll just work on both of those squares at once. And I'm going to center them on the spoke, going to come down a little bit, and then I've got to, before my glue sets up, check it and make sure they stay in the card, because 4 1/4 is pretty tight on the photo fan, but it can be done. I just need to lower those just a little bit so that they stay in the card. And obviously just increasing your card size, if you're willing to do that, I mean, do a 5x7 card or something, you're going to have all the room in the world. Okay, so now that is staying in the card, and then I can put my other two squares on. So for these, I'm just going to kind of center them essentially between the other two squares. So that is going to be a good location so that everything is visible. So it's going to be behind that outer one, but just kind of, the corners maybe touching, the corner next to the next square. And then again, I just have to test it. So I'm looking for that kind of fan layout on my squares. Now, do you have to put squares on the photo fan? Of course not. That's just what comes with the set, but you can really explore using the photo fan for any kind of embellishments that you want to pop up. Now, I would not have to keep going. That looks really nice as it is. Maybe if you just want to do a fan of 6 embellishments or 6 photos, maybe you're done. But I want to add 3 more. So I'm going to choose some locations here. I kind of like this section here. I basically put the adhesive on the blue arrow. I like to think of those as arrows. And so put some adhesive on the blue arrows and just make sure that my square stays out of the folds. So it's only going to be attaching to the blue arrow. And then I just have to check it and make sure that it stays in the card, which it will because it's towards the inside. But just, checking for catch points. What's nice about the photo fan is there aren't a lot of catch points. If you've ever made the photo collage, it is really super impressive, but you have to be really, really cognizant of how you can create catch points. And there are fewer. I'm not saying there's none. It does depend on how you put your squares, but it's really easy to do the photo fan and there aren't a lot of catch points. With the one in the center, you can only attach it to one side or the other. So I'm going to choose to put my adhesive on the right side. I'm still going to center the square, but the important thing is that it's only attached to one side or the other. Otherwise, it'll have to have a bend in it. And the adjustments I'm making are because I got a little close to the fold there in the corner and I don't want it to bend or bunch in the fold. Okay, so now this is ready to be embellished. I won't make you watch me do all that, but I was just going to point out that here on these side ones, you kind of have to decide, do you want your photos to stay more straight with the viewer or fanned with the others? So that's completely up to you. I kind of like the look of the fanning photos, but maybe it depends on the embellishment. Maybe there are times when you want to have those turned. I'm going to put a cupcake in this spot, and then, okay, as it folds down, you can see it's actually pretty flat. It's not too bad. But I have to decide if I'm willing to add more, because what I like to do is add some small squares to the back of the 2 outer ones. And that's just because those are the ones you see as you open and close the card. The other ones you really don't see the back, but those outer ones you do. But maybe, if you're getting a pretty thick card, you don't want to add that extra bulk. But mine seems okay, so I'm going to go ahead and add it. And I just use the small squares for that. So definitely optional. It just kind of adds a little bit of flavor to those kind of blank backs of those outer squares. So far, I've only used 1 die and 1 stamp set, the photo fan and the photo memories. Now, I am going to add some borders from our Border Blends party set, and then because this is a birthday card, I wanted to add their age with the numbers die set. I used gold glitter paper. I cut 10 of the borders that I need, and now I'm just going to glue those around the front of the card and the inside of the card. And I'm not going to make you watch me do that. In fact, I turned off the camera and just listened to a podcast. So my 3 squares that are going to get either cupcakes or the number, I decided to use the leftover rectangles from when I was cutting the spokes to just add a little strip of ground to the bottom of each of those squares so that it would kind of anchor the embellishment. Since I switched to that rectangular card instead of the square, I had a little extra room at the bottom, so I put in a couple of additional photos. One of my favorite tricks for small birthday candle dies is to use washi tape, so brightly colored washi tape, and yellow cardstock. So I just put a strip of washi tape on the cardstock, leaving enough yellow above it for the flame. And if the candle were taller, I may have to put 2 strips of washi tape, but these ones are very small candles. So now I just need to make sure that the stalk of the candle is over the washi tape and the flames are over the yellow. Then I just run it through my die cutting machine, and then I have those 2-tone candles. Clear packing tape over teal cardstock is what made my number 8 shiny. I also cut it out of black and offset those diagonally so that there would be a drop shadow, and I sandwiched 8 little birthday candles in between the layers as I was putting it together. And then that's going to go on the front of the card in my open spot. Then I assembled 2 of the cupcakes that come in the set and added birthday candles to those. Now, if those cupcakes seem familiar, you may be thinking of another die set we have called Cupcake Add-ons. These little small ones in the photo fan are shrunken versions of the cupcakes and the cupcake add-ons. And I like to do that when I can, because then now you can mix and match between the sets and you have matching cupcakes but different sizes. There are also dies in the set that will do some fun flowers, and then there is a die that will cut the 3 small and 1 large circle to put the centers in those flowers. So I used double-sided adhesive tape on the back of the cardstock before die cutting so that my flower centers would be stickers, and then I just added them to the flowers. And then the last embellishment die in the set is the little swirly do. I've cut that out of several scraps of glitter cardstock. And now I just go around my photo fan, adding some of those little embellishments where I like them, checking to make sure that they stay in the card, checking that I haven't created a catch point. Okay, my card is done. It is a standard A2 size card, so I can use a regular envelope for this. Now, when I go to mail it, it's probably going to be under an ounce, but the issue is going to be the rigidity of it. So I would suggest the non-machinable butterfly stamp. And starting from a reference card can be such a time saver, because in this case, all I had to do was change out the background color, use a different border, change the size, and I have what feels like a whole new card, but is highly influenced by this original. Here's another A2 size card, this time using our new Snow Charms and Winter Hugs clear stamps on the photo fan. For our November 2024 virtual class, I will be teaching a doubled photo fan. So increase your card size and now you can start putting multiples inside the card. I love to end assembly videos by showing some inspiration by our very talented design team. Installation is the same if you want to use the photo fan in a top fold card. So just put it in the card and then turn it, and then now it's a top fold card. And I love what Sue Small-Kreider did here with her Reindeer Games card, using a photo fan on both sides of the card, going in opposite directions to animate those flags. Ken Shan is the master of mixed mechanisms, so I like what he did here with the photo fan pointed down towards the bottom of the card and then the stocking pop-up up at the top. Another card by Ken, this time as a wedding save the date card. So he's using a map paper with the photo fan showing all the details of the wedding, and then as an arrow pointing to the location. So just a super clever use of the photo fan in a top fold card for an invitation. I really wanted to show these 3 together because we've got 3 design team members who had the same idea but very different execution. So Sue Small-Kreider used the photo fan with the fireworks, and she's kind of had a black background A2 size card. Then Lois Bach in the center here, white background, double photo fan, square card. And then slightly larger square card with Sandy Diller. She has metallic papers for the fireworks. Okay, let's look at a bunch of photographs now. So here's Suzanne Smith with a photo fan featuring cupcakes. Lois Bach showing how well you can use all those images stamps that you have with the photo fan. Ken with a doubled photo fan completely covered with butterflies. Suzanne Smith is known for making 2 versions of a card while she's crafting, so she's made a couple here using the game charms with some of our little animal dies on the photo fan. Nikki Foden has a stunning doubled photo fan in a top fold card covered with snowflakes. I like the clean look of Lois's Halloween card with only 6 items on the fan. Ken used a top fold photo fan and dangled charms off of each of the spokes. Nikki Foden with a gorgeous white, black, and teal photo fan card. And then Ken did a series of cards where he is celebrating his favorite board game. So he has photo fans in the back, postage pop-up in the front. The photo fan pop-up is available now from our website, KarenBurniston.com, as well as from a lot of your favorite local and online retailers. Thanks for watching. If you click on the website link, you'll go to KarenBurniston.com, where you can purchase these dies as well as find links to our other social media accounts. You can subscribe to this YouTube channel and check out some of my other videos. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.